Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our panel on the online MBA, Finding the Right Fit. We have folks from three terrific online MBA options for you here today. The University of Washington, the Foster School, we have Maura Du, who's Program Director of Admissions. At Carnegie Mellon Tepper, we have J.R. McGrath, Executive Director of Master's Admissions. And from the Jack Welch Institute, we have Carla Mueller, who is Director of Admissions. Welcome. So I wonder if we might just start simply. Tell us a little bit about each of your programs, how long it's been around, how long does it generally take to complete, basically the nuts and bolts of the program. Maura, let's start with you.
Hi, thanks for having us today. At the Foster Hybrid MBA, we are designed primarily for mid-career working professionals who will complete the Lockstep curriculum program, which is full-time curriculum, completed in a matter of about 21 months. All of our incoming students join in September and complete the MBA by the following June of the second year. They have the summer off to just recoup and refresh, and then they come back onto campus. I think the unique thing about the hybrid MBA is it is delivered in three different ways. We have an in-person component that's required, which creates really valuable connections between our students as well as our faculty members. Then we have evening classes during the week, which we refer to as Foster Live. These are live synchronous classes, again, required. It's a very dynamic online engagement with the faculty members and your fellow classmates. And those are hosted in the evenings on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then we have these optional live review sessions that are also very dynamic, connected with the faculty and the support teams in the faculty, as well as a very robust online platform for learning resources with videos, case studies, and an opportunity for online discussions and completing your program. Our students typically dedicate about 25 to 30 hours a week in completing the program. So it's a full load for students, but it's a really rigorous program, but very fulfilling program in the end, and creates some really fantastic connections with our foster community and the extended community as well.
And how many years has it been around?
So we are welcoming our 7th online class in our hybrid MBA class in the fall of 24. We came from the technology management MBA program and also through the Foster MBA family. So even though we've been around for about 7 years or coming into our 7th class, it's coming out of a very robust community that's been in place for about, I think they graduated their 25th class just this past year.
Great. And JR, I know that the Tepper online program, it's a hybrid program, a lot of high touch in this program. Give us the lowdown on it.
Awesome. And thanks, John. So I'll start with maybe one of your last questions. So we've been doing this program for well over a decade now. It has evolved over time, though. We always take those insights from our students and our faculty and alumni, et cetera, to make sure that we're always, staying on the cutting edge of what is needed, both by our students as well as our, blanket on it right now, but on those who recruit our talent and our students. So what I would like to say about our program, when we developed our program years ago, one thing that we have always stayed true to is how do you create the best online MBA program and not always one that is just built to grow and expand to exorbitant numbers. We wanted to ensure that we were going to create the program that would put the same quality MBA out into the market as our flagship full-time MBA program. And with that's where, as you had said, we have been in the space for a while, but we chose to have the same curriculum as our other MBA program, which does make our normal online hybrid program a little bit longer than others. So normally it takes about 33 months to complete. We do have an accelerated version now for those that have business undergrads. You can now complete the program in 2 years. It also lowers your costs in the program as well. One way, and you talked about like that interactive portion of it. I think where we have a difference, so we have things called access weekends. It used to be that you would have 16 of those in person before you graduate the program. We still have the same number of access weekends, but getting that feedback from our students and alumni that said, there's some other opportunities that we can do virtually with these weekends that we can't just always do in person. So now we have a hybrid of those. So we still have, I believe, 8 in person, and we have 8 that are virtual. And those virtual ones will now bring in new career days and case competitions and interact with those across the country and not just who's there that day. So it's a program that we love. It's a program that we put a lot of love and care into, and excited to tell you more about the program later today.
When did you start the accelerated option for business undergrads?
So we launched that 2 falls ago. So so we had a few students in the first year. We had 14 students this past year. So we see that growing year over year for us.
That's great. Now, Carla, I know the Jack Welch Online MBA is incredibly practical and can be applied immediately at work. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me, John. You nailed it on the head. And that's why Jack created. So Jack Welch personally created this program, designed it, built it, invited all of his colleagues to be a part of it. Going on 13 years ago now, and I've been with the program since almost the beginning. I'm also a graduate of the program. I graduated in 2018, but that's exactly right, John. Jack's vision was to have a program that was designed for really busy working professionals. So that's what makes it a little bit different, is ours is very flexible. 99% of our students are working full-time. It's designed to be really practical and immediately actionable. And we have students and alumni from over 80 countries around the world, all 47 states. The program is 100% asynchronous. So that means you're going to get tons of interaction with your 20 years. We keep our classes small. You'll never be in class with more than 20 students, and a highly engaged faculty, all experts in the field that they teach. You're interacting a tremendous amount with them throughout each week of the 10 weeks of the quarter, but everyone's doing it asynchronously. So everyone is logging in on their own time frame on whatever day of the week, whatever time of day works for them, and then interacting largely on the discussion boards for the class interaction. And then there are some live virtual elements that are always 100% optional, because we know that, with all of our students from around the globe working full time, it's never a requirement for them to attend any live sessions. So again, the program's designed to be really practical in nature. And that's what we see that students are really able to apply what they're learning immediately. More than 2 out of 3 of our students are telling us they're getting multiple promotions and raises while they go through the program. So that's what makes it a little bit different, is that really the practicality of the nature and the flexibility. Also, as far as time length, it's a 12-course MBA, regardless of concentration. We now have 4 concentrations. Our original MBA, we now call our leadership concentration, just to differentiate it from we have a healthcare, human resources, and operations management concentration. But regardless of concentration, it's always 12 courses. And every quarter, students have the option to take either 1 or 2 classes. So that means it's up to the student. They get to pace it as they go along. They don't have to decide up front, I'm going to be done in 1.5 years or 2 years. They pace it as each new quarter approaches. That's when they'll decide if they want to take 1 or 2 classes for the next 10 weeks of their life. So it's designed to get through in 18 months, and that would be taking 2 classes every quarter. If you did 1 class per quarter, which is what I did, slow and steady, it's going to take 3 years. Some of our students are taking beyond 3 years if they have to sit out quarters, which is also an option. But of our 4,000, we have over 4,000 graduates now, John, and our average graduate is taking 2 to 2.5 years to complete the 12-course MBA.
That's great. Carla, what does the latest class profile look like?
Yeah, great question. So our average student, I mentioned 99% of our students are busy working professionals. We're split right down the middle, male, female, 50-50. We have 20% of our students are international. Our average age of our student is 42 years old with 17 plus years of experience. So it's a little bit more seasoned student in our program.
Yeah, that's great. And JR, what's the latest class profile for Tepper look like?
Yeah, thanks, John. So we have 113 students that started this past fall. some of the background. So they average almost 7 years of work experience. We have industries that they're coming from. Technology would be the number one at 18%, financial services and healthcare at 14% each, and manufacturing and operations at 8%. So a few different industries being represented there. Undergraduate majors, we have about 34% of our students coming from engineering. And with that new accelerated MBA, we have now 30% of our students coming from a business background. So really diversifying the types of students that are coming through the program. And for us, I would say what's also, I know these are online, you could take them anywhere. I know some of the US-based online programs are regional, that you get most of your students right from around your campus or, you know, that radius around your city. We have students that come from across the entire country, which is why we need to have those 3 sections of classes to make sure that we can really accommodate our West Coast students in the program as well.
Great. And Maura, I'm thinking that your class profile probably looks similar to some degree to Tepper's, given the fact that Microsoft and Amazon are in your backyard.
It is.
Right?
We have a fairly even layout of industries that our students are coming from, because some of our students do attend our technology management MBA program that's in person. But I would say that our grouping, we have about a fifth of our students are engineers, and then less or so accounting, finance, business analytics, general management and leadership is about a 10th of our student population. And then we have an interesting dynamic of some marketing and sales, public sector, healthcare. So it's really across the board, and that provides a really dynamic, diverse grouping. So when we bring our teams together, each cohort is divided up into 5 to 6 person teams. And that means that they're working with someone from a variety of different industries and being exposed to a lot of different experiences. Similarly, we have about a fifth of our student population is military connected in some way. Our cohorts are anywhere from 70 to 80 students each year, and we have up to 2 years attending at the same time. So that's who comes onto our campus 6 times a year, or 7 times for the duration of the program, the 2 years. So it's the beginning of each quarter. Our average GPA is about 3.4. We have 7+ years of work experience on average. About a fifth have advanced degrees of some sort. And then we are diverse as far as who's attending. The cohort that just entered this year was represented 13 states, but we're also seeing students representing half of the states in the US right now.
Great. And Maura, I wonder how you assess a candidate's fit with the personality and the demands of the program itself.
That's a really great question. We have the required components of the program, which are requiring that they have a baccalaureate, that they've worked full-time for 3 years plus, with professional work experience. Our military students are usually assessed slightly differently because oftentimes they're completing their degree during the duration of their service. They are required to have a 3.0 GPA to join our program. Our average is 3.4, but that's something that if they have a very wealthy professional experience behind them and maybe not a great GPA, we can always petition on their behalf if we think they're a great candidate. But what we also are looking for is these individuals who function really well in a team environment, show strong leadership potential, that they have extremely strong quantitative skills, that they can hit the ground running. We enter into our immersions in person each quarter, and then they immediately join the online classes on a Tuesday evening. So it's a pretty intense moment. So we want to make sure that our students are ready and willing. And what we're really looking for is individuals who have had these conversations with their support systems, with their employers, and that they're ready to be organized and committed and present.
No, those are really important things. JR, what's your take on that question?
Yeah, so I think this is our view, but we also want to meet the expectations of what what our candidates have. So career is usually the number one place we start. So we look at where someone has been, what have they accomplished, and then understanding that context of what do they want to do post MBA, and understanding if we can be that bridge for them and make them competitive for those aspirational career goals they have. That's typically going to be the thing that's going to tell them, am I a happy student? Am I extremely happy alumni? So we want to make sure that we use that as one of those key metrics. The second point, and not too different what Mar was saying, but for us, community is key. And I think that sometimes that can be difficult within an online community, of making sure that you have that strong knit community amongst the classmates, and not only your classmates, but those above you and below you in terms of years. So we are always asking those questions. What impact are you going to make on the community? How are you going to learn from your classmates? How are you going to teach your classmates? And usually if we have those two things covered, a great community member, as well as someone that's going to have really solid career success, we have a great class, we have a great community, and we have happy alumni.
Makes sense. And Carla, what about the Jack Welch Institute MBA? How do you assess a person's fit and personality? I would imagine they have to be a Jack Welch fan.
Not necessarily, and as time goes by, John, you'll be, as we get younger and younger students in, I mean, some students don't know who Jack Welch is, which is fine, but because it's not really, I mean, this is Jack Welch's principles, but not only his, just really timeless concepts. And we have 36 other experts in practice, as well as we have 150 of our award-winning faculty. They, by Poets and Quants, it ranks them number 1 and number 2 in the last 2 years in overall quality. And so it's not just Jack Welch, but to be fair, I mean, that definitely is the foundational, the first class that everyone takes, regardless of concentration, is leadership in the 21st century. But what we really are looking at in our candidates, a very holistic approach. I mean, the bachelor's degree course is a ticket to the game, Jack used to call it. But, from there, it's really, we take every single applicant that gets accepted into our program, John, has been personally interviewed by either myself or somebody on our admissions team. So we take the time, we interview every single applicant that's a qualified applicant, to make sure that this is a really good fit for them. We look at their experience or work experience, where they're at with their career, where they're wanting to go, trying to make sure that this is not only a good fit for us, that they're a good fit for us, but we're a good fit for them, and definitely assessing them for, we have a huge sense of community and camaraderie, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit later, but within the classroom, of course, they're going to really get to know their 20 or so classmates, and each class is a different mix of students, because they're not cohorted. So they're going to meet different students along the way in all the 12 classes. But outside of that, we also have a student advisory board. We have something called JDMI Connect. It's a award-winning proprietary platform where students all congregate together. Students and alumni. We have over 4,000 alumni. 1,800 students in the program. Almost every week we have different webinars and virtual events that they can attend. We had 77 virtual events last year alone. In fact, just last night we had an event learning about how Warren Buffett invests. And in fact, Warren Buffett is one of our experts in practice. As you know, John, Jack and Warren were really good friends. So, so those are the types of events outside of the kind of extracurricular events. So we also gauge to see how how interested are you in getting involved in the community and outside of the classroom, because it's also really important. We have a very vibrant community.
Now, I wonder if you could give us a sense of what kind of questions should applicants ask, all of you, to help them determine, is the program right for them and their career aspirations? And I'm sure you get these questions all the time. But how would you answer them, Carla?
Yeah, absolutely. So I ask them, where you are right now, what have you done, and where do you want to go? And let's figure that out. Let's figure out the best path for you to get to from where you are now to where you want to go. And sometimes the students don't know, and that's totally fine too. And it can change as they go along, but trying to get their vision for themselves to help them to pick which concentration is going to be best for them. Or maybe it's a student, we have a lot of students, because our students are a little bit older, that already have a master's degree. So maybe they're not sure they want to do a full MBA. We have graduate certificate courses where they're just taking 3 courses from the MBA. Let's say you already have a master's degree, or you even maybe already have an MBA, but you want the learning, and you want, so you can take 3 of the concentration courses in any of those, leadership, operations, healthcare, or operations management, or human resources, and be done in 9 months. And the great thing about that is, those classes are MBA classes. You're in with other MBA students. And so those classes still count towards your MBA. So a lot of our students will maybe do a graduate certificate, be done in 9 months, and then continue on and finish up their MBA. Maybe they do it right away, or maybe they come back in a year and do it. And so we're trying to figure out the best fit for that student, where they are in their career and where they want to go, and help them, figure out which program is going to be best.
So can you stack a certificate into the degree program then?
100%. Yes.
Right. I wonder how many students actually do that. In other words, they start with a sequence of courses, not knowing whether they'll do the whole degree. And then that becomes a real pathway into the program for them.
Exactly. And I would say probably of the graduate certificate students who don't already have an MBA, because we have a lot of students that do that because they already have an MBA, but who don't already have an MBA, I would say more than 50% of them continue on to finish up the MBA.
Wow.
It's kind of like a gateway drug, John.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. So JR, what advice do you have for applicants in trying to sort through their options, ask the right questions, and make sure the program is a good fit for them and their career aspirations?
Yeah, so I always tell someone to look internally first, right? I think we've all learned over the evolution of degrees recently, we have more and more different type of people coming in that have maybe some different things that they want to accomplish. So I think it's always starting with yourself first. And the big easy one is write down your biggest 3 priorities for personal and professional growth during this experience, and use that as you have these different conversations to determine if these programs are the right fit. In terms of suggestions of who to talk to, so I think, the admissions team are always really great, is that first conversation of just giving you the landscape of our program, some of those nuts and bolts of maybe the application process or what's different about our program. But then you really do need to talk to those that are either in the program or going through the program, especially as a part-time or online student, because you're balancing more than others. And some of the biggest questions I always have would be, do I have the time for this? When have you found the time for this? How have you been able to do these things while having all these other responsibilities? So you use the students and alumni for really how this has come to life for them. And I think that'll give you either the sense of, I see myself there and this is the right program, or this may not be that right fit for me.
Totally makes sense. Maura, your advice?
I just want to say ditto to what JR said.
Yeah.
I think that one of the strongest conversation points that help us connect with a prospective applicant is that introspection, that understanding of what their goals are, and ensuring that they have a good understanding of what the hybrid MBA program is, or an MBA as a whole, and then also seeing the differentiation. I think probably they're seeing a lot of our candidates are potentially looking at other programs. I think at the end of the day, an MBA is an MBA, and there's amazing university communities around us. We think we're amazing. We think we have a lot to offer, but ensuring that they have a clear understanding of what the program is. And so starting off with that conversation with an admissions advisor, ensuring that they're having the conversation as to where they are in their current professional world, and identifying what's the next steps for them. Like, does this fit? Does this? And then, just like JR said, connect with our community. We have a very a fantastic community who are willing to speak to applicants. We tend to handle it on a more like, let us know that you want to connect with somebody, whether it's someone who is a job changer, or I came into an MBA and didn't know what I wanted. Because we see that. We see some people who they're looking inside themselves and they're saying, I know I need an MBA, but I'm trying to identify what exactly it's going to achieve for me, or what's going to get me. And that's all part of that journey. So when we do an admissions session, I don't consider that the only point of contact. I want them to participate in an information session. I want them to join a class visit. Like, for example, we have one next week where one of our faculty members is hosting a mock class so that people can get a real feel for what does that online live dynamic feel like and look like, and is that the kind of learning environment that they're looking for? So yeah, I mean, absolutely, we are the first port of call for information, but that doesn't mean oftentimes our students will connect with the career management team to really get a feel for what is on offer for them, because we're not necessarily job placement. We really look very closely at what their individual goals are, rather than a broad spectrum of just hoping something sticks for them.
Right. Of course, you know, the greatest benefit of an online MBA is the flexibility you have to take the degree and not let it totally interrupt your life. I mean, you can maintain your job, you can set your own pace, so it tends to be less expensive because you will have your income coming in as well. But a lot of people wonder, okay, am I going to get to know my classmates? Am I going to get to know the faculty? And can an online MBA program really replicate the networking, the mentoring, the career development of a full-time MBA? Maura, what do you say to all those questions?
Oh, at Foster Hybrid MBA, we are so committed to that dynamic, to ensuring that people connect. So it is embedded in everything we do. So everything from the beginning of each quarter, our students come onto campus for 4 to 5 days, and they meet with their classmates, they meet with their faculty members, and that really sets the tone for doing the online sessions after the fact. So they're assigned to an individual team. So they have teams of 4 to 5 students for the duration of their program. So they're not just having these touch point connections, they're creating really robust, genuine relationships with their teammates, just like you would in a workplace, just like you would in a positive networking environment. And then that translates into the social events that we host, the professional networking events that we host. So they're really creating these amazing connections. I heard an alum last month say that they actually have a live Slack channel where they're still connecting with their team almost on a daily basis, because they use each other as a backbone for all, you know, any challenging moments or just highlights. Like, they share each other's celebrations. So the relationship is built during the 2 years that you're in the program, but it's long lasting.
JR, what's your take on that and the concerns that some people may have?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, John, you said it before, right? Like our programs at Foster and Tepper are very similar. So I echo almost everything that Maura said there. We have our access weekend, so everyone starts with 4 days together with base camp, our orientation, as well as into that first access weekend. What I love about our model now is that there's times that you're going to be in this access weekend just with your class. So you really get to like hone in on them and do these networking opportunities, social things, classes, etc. But then there's going to be weekends where you have another cohort there. So there's another 115 students. And there are some times where we have all 3 cohorts. So we have to find venues now that hold 340 or 350 students. So you get to know them. And what's really interesting, right, is that the upperclassmen, you know, those farther along the program, want to help and mentor those that are coming through the program. And they use those relationships to ask those questions. How are you navigating these things at work? How have you started to have these conversations about promotion if you want to stay internal? Hey, I know that you made this career transition or pivot, which is becoming much more prevalent in online programs, right? As people want to make a pivot. How did you do that? What resources? So these opportunities where you're not just in these online classes, but you're spending time with each other, whether in person or these virtual access weekends, has been key for faculty, for alumni, for career. We have our leadership coaches and our career coaches go to all of these, as well as then meet with students throughout the week in their journey. So if you ask our students, I think this is what you said earlier, John, right? Like, the networking is at the same level as our MBA, but the flexibility of it is really the delivery method, right? So like, you can do these things that others are just doing in person all the time in these different types of formats to ensure that you're getting the support that you need to be successful.
Right. Carla, how do you replicate the networking and mentorship of a full-time MBA?
Yeah, I hear it over and over and over and again from our students and our alumni that the networking opportunities in our Jack Welch MBA program and with our JWI Connect have far surpassed and exceeded their expectations and anything they ever experienced in an on-ground situation. And not only in the classroom environment where they're very small with 18 or 19 other classmates, their faculty are reaching out to them on one-on-one. They're having one-on-one conversations with their students. So it's almost like surrounding yourself with their own team of business consultants. But then our networking community, I mentioned before, JWI Connect, students get into, we encourage them the minute they get enrolled, even before class starts, we get them into JWI Connect. They can match themselves up with mentors. We have 120 hub cities where we actually have live events happening. We every week we have different virtual networking events and webinars that students can attend. And so they're able to tap into the knowledge and expertise and camaraderie with over 4,000 alumni and 1,800 students from all over the world, every industry imaginable, everything. Our students are everything from CEOs, VPs, executives on down. So there's incredible networking that comes along with the program.
Okay, so if you're interested, how can people follow up and get more information or contact each and every one of you? Carla?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn right now. Connect with me. I'm the only Carla Bates Mueller on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and we can start messaging each other. You can go to our website, which is jdmi.com, and fill out a request for information form. It's very short, and then immediately somebody on my team will reach out to you. But again, connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to be connected with all of you, and then we can start having a conversation.
Makes sense. JR, I assume the website's the first place to start.
For an online program, I would say yes, everyone should go to the website first.
Yep.
Obviously you could go directly to the program, and there are email addresses for each of our individual programs. So whichever one seems to be the right fit, you can go directly to that inbox. So you're getting the most knowledgeable person about that program to reach back out. However, if you like to find a personal connection, our entire admissions team is listed on our website. Read someone's personal stories. If you feel like you connect with them, reach out to them. They'll be your guide for your journey. So excited to be able to connect with as many candidates as possible.
Fantastic. Maura?
Similar to JR's team, the online website has a robust amount of information, but it also has our email addresses listed. We have a central email address that's usually the best first port of call, which is uwhybrid@uw.edu. We also, on the website, if you hit the contact us, you can make an appointment with us right away. And then we always encourage people to check out our admissions events, because that's a really fantastic opportunity to connect. We always have time for questions and answers at the end. And then it's also a great time to connect with our alumni for the various different events and the faculty chats.
Terrific. Well, it's been a pleasure, Maura, JR, and Carla. Love having you. I think we learned a lot about your programs, and I think the takeaway for me, and I hope for most of our audience, is that an online MBA is not necessarily an online MBA, meaning that every program has unique features to it, and to be knowledgeable about those features and understand what's right for you is the ideal choice. And in these three programs, there are significant differences between and among all of yours. And I'm sure that among the three, everyone can find the right fit. Hey, thanks for watching. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants.